On February 19th, 2020, Pop Smoke was killed during a home invasion at the Airbnb he was staying in. The attack happened early in the morning while he was in the shower, and 4 teenagers broke into the house. The youngest of them, only 15 years old, was the one who fired the fatal shot. Pop Smoke was just 20 years old, and although first responders rushed him to the hospital, he was pronounced dead shortly after. It would take months before investigators were able to piece together exactly what happened that night. If you look back at his final Instagram activity, you can practically trace his last day hour by hour. The morning before his death, around late morning on February 18th, he posted a video after landing in California. He and his close friend Mike D had arrived at a rented home in Beverly Hills, and Pop Smoke shared a look at the backyard. They planned to spend a few days in Los Angeles, mostly to relax. The two settled in, and Pop updated his story again as he got a haircut, followed by a photo of him lounging by the pool. Everything about the day appeared normal. Later, they went out shopping, and he tagged the location as Beverly Hills. But the next posts would unintentionally put them in danger. That afternoon, Mikey uploaded a set of pictures. Pop Smoke posted matching photos on his own page, both of them posing together, with Mike holding a large amount of cash. At first glance, the photos looked harmless, but in one of Mike's pictures, the home address behind them was almost completely visible. Only the first number wasn't shown. Anyone looking for Pop Smoke would only need to guess a single digit. Then came an even bigger mistake. The post was geotagged, revealing the exact neighborhood. For an everyday person this might not matter, but for a rising rapper publicly showing cash, jewelry, and a reachable location, it was extremely risky. While their day went on normally, people online had already started piecing things together. Later that afternoon, Pop Smoke posted a clip of himself riding in the car, again with the same stack of cash and a diamond Rolex on his wrist. By then, a location and a motive had essentially been broadcast to the wrong audience. For a few hours, he went quiet on Instagram, but it's known that he and Mike spent the evening shopping. What they didn't know was that others were watching and planning. After taking the photos outside the house, Pop Smoke and Mike climbed into the white Range Rover and drove down Santa Monica Boulevard. They stopped at the Amiri store, one of the many high-end shops in Beverly Hills. Pop was preparing for his Meet the Woo tour, which was set to begin in March, and he was enjoying a short vacation before things got busy again. His second Meet the Woo project had dropped only weeks earlier, and he was still celebrating the success. Shopping for new clothes felt like a normal reward. Later that night, only hours before the tragedy, Pop returned to the Airbnb and posted a nighttime view of Los Angeles from the backyard. But he didn't settle in for the evening. He still planned to hit the studio. Around PM, he uploaded a short video showing off some of the items he bought earlier that day. It looked harmless, but it exposed something he never intended to share. The Amiri shopping bags in the frame showed labels with the full address of the Airbnb. That simple detail made him vulnerable without him realizing it. Someone from his team noticed and told him to delete the clip, but by then, it was too late. 2 teenagers had already been watching his Instagram stories closely. They were associated with the Hoover Gang in Los Angeles, and when they spotted the tags revealing the location, they realized Pop Smoke was only about 20 minutes away. Phone records later showed that around midnight, they began checking the address on maps and planning their next move. Meanwhile, Pop and Mike headed to East West Studios near Sunset Boulevard to record new music. While Pop was in the booth, the 2 teens were scouting the Airbnb. Security footage captured a black BMW driving past the home around the M, circling back and dropping off a passenger who walked toward the backyard before quickly returning to the car. The house wasn't empty, and Pop wasn't home yet, so they drove off and gathered 2 more people to help with the robbery. The group switched cars and prepared to try again. Around the M, Pop finished his session, got back in the Range Rover with Mike and a woman he had met that night named Amelia Rose, and drove back to the Airbnb unaware that danger was already on its way. After taking photos outside the Airbnb, Pop Smoke and Mike headed out in a white Range Rover for a day in Beverly Hills. They cruised down Santa Monica Boulevard and stopped at the Amiri store, enjoying Pop's final week of vacation before his upcoming Meet the Woo tour. His new project had just dropped, and he was still celebrating the success, treating himself with some shopping in one of the most luxurious areas in Los Angeles. Later that evening, around PM, Pop returned to the Airbnb and posted another story, showing off the night view from the backyard. The stay was brief. He planned to head back out to record new music. At around PM, he uploaded what seemed like an innocent video showing the shopping bags from earlier. Unfortunately, The tags on the Amiri bags revealed the full address of the Airbnb. A talent manager noticed the mistake and told him to take it down, but the damage had already been done. 2 teenagers from the Hoover gang had been watching his stories and realized he was only about 20 minutes away. Their phone records later showed they immediately began checking the address and scouting the neighborhood. They decided to act that same night. While Pop and Mike were at East West Studios working on new music, the teens drove by the house in a black BMW, circling the block before one of them crept toward the backyard. He retreated quickly to many people were inside, and Pop wasn't home yet. They sped off and recruited 2 more teens before switching cars and preparing to return. Pop left the recording studio around AM with Mike and a woman he had met that night, Amelia Rose. They drove back to the Airbnb completely unaware of what was coming. Inside, Pop and Amelia went to the master bedroom while Mike settled into a nearby room. Meanwhile, the 4 teens had already switched into an Infiniti sedan and was studying the Airbnb's layout on Zillow, using the listing photos to understand the positions of rooms and entrances. Pop got ready to shower as his final activity. Online was replying to a few fans on Twitter. Not long after, the Infiniti pulled up with its lights off. The teens crept through the backyard and climbed onto the second-floor balcony. Amelia noticed movement outside, but before she could react, 3 masked gunmen burst into the room. One held her at gunpoint, took her phone and purse, while the others confronted Pop in the bathroom. They demanded his watch, and he handed it over. But Pop tried to fight back. During the struggle, a 15-year-old shooter fired a shot into his chest. Amelia screamed as Pop fell, and the attackers kicked him repeatedly. In a desperate attempt to flee, Pop staggered toward the stairs, but they shot him 2 more times before running out. Mike woke up to the gunshots and found Pop collapsed at the bottom of the stairs. He immediately called 911. Paramedics arrived about 20 minutes later and rushed Pop to Cedars-Sinai Hospital, where he died an hour later. At the exact time of his passing, his killers were already searching local news reports to see if the shooting had been mentioned. They even looked up the value of the stolen Rolex, the only thing they took. In the end, they sold it for just $2,000 and split the money 4 ways. Although investigators had cell phone and internet evidence, they didn't make immediate arrests. The breakthrough came months later when the 15-year-old was detained for an unrelated case. Police, already suspicious of him, recorded his jail conversations. He eventually told a cellmate he had been involved in the robbery and was the one who pulled the trigger. Another teen later confessed similar details. Curry Walker, 19, stayed in the getaway car that night, while 18-year-old Kendry Rogers was the first to enter the home. Both were charged with murder with special circumstances and will remain in prison indefinitely. The 15 and 17-year-olds were charged as juveniles and remain unnamed. Pop Smoke's death was heartbreaking, not only because he was so young and rising so quickly, but because the digital
On February
trail of his
19,
final
2020,
day,
at about
hosts
4:30
made him
a.m.,
vulnerable.
Pop Smoke
The
was
same
shot and
moments
killed
he
inside of
shared
his
with fans
Airbnb.
ended up being the
He wasn't
clues that
alone,
cost
but at
him
the
his
time of
life.
the robbery,
Fans
he
around the
was
world
inside the shower.
continue to mourn
4
Bashir's
teenagers would
loss, and
storm the
even
house
years
that night
after
before
his
the
passing,
youngest, a
his music
15-year-old,
still
would fatally
reaches new
shoot him.
listeners
Pop
and
Smoke was
inspires
just
the
20
people
years
who
old at the
loved him.
time.
His impact
He was
hasn't
officially
faded,
pronounced dead at
and like he
5:12
never
that
will,
morning, but
rest
it would
in
end up
peace to the
taking
wolf.
months to